our number one team stays the same, but number two is flying up the charts, and it may not matter come the season's end. Another team, 19-point lead, entering the fourth quarter, 19-0, but they blow it. All that and more next on the Everyday Fans podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Everyday Fans podcast, where the game belongs to all of us. No experts, no suits, just fans talking sports the way we live it every day. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Everyday Fans podcast. Thank you all for returning. Thank you if you're a new viewer. Please consider subscribing, hitting the like button. We talk sports here, mainly NFL. And on that note, real quick, before we get started with NFL, I do want to highlight NBA starts tonight. We will not do a lot of NBA content until football is over. Maybe some stuff here and there. If you guys want NBA content, let me know. I'll try to get something out for you if you like. But we'll be mainly still focused on NFL. Number two, the World Series starts Friday in Canada, Toronto, Canada, as the LA Dodgers travel up for game one of the World Series. So we are a full sports show. Do want to highlight some other things happening in the sports world. College football is throwing its fastball right now. A lot of good games, a lot of good games in college. SEC seems like every week they got top 10, top 25 matchups. It's crazy. Big Ten got some teams up top that's just handling business. Ohio State, Indiana. So um, really interesting time in sports. But as you know, on these Tuesday shows that I put out, they're about power rankings. Um, we kind of go over some headlines. So we'll start there in terms of what we'll do this week in NFL as we have some movers. We have some movers. We have some things that look a little bit different than it has the last couple of weeks, at least in my opinion. All right. But getting started with it, the number one thing to me right now when I look at the NFL is the parity around the league is wild, right? A lot of teams every week, it seems like it's a toss up. You got people betting on these games, right? And, oh, how did this team beat this team? How did this team didn't cover, a two touchdown spread or 12, 13-point spread? All of these type of things, right? Um, a ton of parity in the league right now. And I read something this morning around it hasn't been like this in 20 plus years, right? But this is what the NFL wants. The NFL wants everybody to be just a big old pot of like gumbo with just a little bit of everything and everything's just right there together, right? And we're getting into like gumbo and soup season. So shout out to the fall coming. Shout out to the weather changing in some of these other areas of the country. I'm in Chicago. Shout out Bears. But everything is jumbled up. We do have some teams at the top. Obviously, the Colts, have only one loss. A lot of teams have two losses, but the parity is really crazy right now. Number two, the Chiefs are surging. We'll get into them more in detail in the power rankings section of this show, but Mahomes and the defense are finally finding their form. I don't know if this is the perfect time, but it's the right time for them. I feel like they know how to win games in December, January. So they're able to get back on track. They get one of their top weapons back this week. Two touchdowns right out the gate. So Chiefs, look out, everybody. Look out, NFL, right? NFC South, is it better than we realize? So NFC South, just in case you don't know, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers, and who's my last team? Oh, New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints. So obviously New Orleans not really there. Atlanta just losing to a really good San Francisco team this past weekend. But you got three teams there that could be vying for playoff contention, right? So um, interesting division to keep our eyes on as we move throughout the rest of the season because some of those last wild card spots, it'll be kind of interesting to see down the line which teams are vying for those. NFC North is a pretty tough division too, but the NFC West has three teams with two losses, 5-2. So it'll be interesting, but NFC South may be better than we think. Brandon Graham is coming out of retirement to rejoin the Eagles. They're looking to get a spark on the defense. I don't know how much help it'd be right away. If he can get in shape, it'll probably take him a couple of weeks, 4 or 5, maybe even 6 weeks to get ready. That way he's ready by, December, January football. He knows the defense, was just there for the Super Bowl run last year. He's been there forever. So um, he should be able to step in once he's in shape and give some type of impact, right? Um, so maybe an upgrade, maybe nothing at all for the Eagles, but I did want to highlight that they were coming back. And will Lamar be back for the Ravens? Big game for the Bears this week against Baltimore, traveling to Baltimore. Baltimore is 1-5. They are on a bye this past week. Lamar's been out the last couple of weeks. To me, their playoff chances hinge on this game. If the Bears can go in there and get a win against this team, who struggled all year already, right? But they're going to be the healthiest they've been maybe since week one, right? Um, but if Baltimore does not win this game, I don't see how they get into the playoffs. I'm just being honest with you. I don't see how they get into the playoffs. Let me know what you guys think about any of these headlines. The NFC South, Lamar coming back. If the Ravens win or lose, you think they can lose this game and still get to the playoffs? So let me know what you think about those things, and we could talk about it down in the comments. Definitely want this to be an interactive channel, so let me know what you guys think, and we'll get into those type of things. Moving on to the power rankings. Okay, so at the top, this team has been my number one for several weeks now. Um, the Indianapolis Colts, 6-1 record, elite offense, very balanced attack. Right? What do you mean by that? Elite offense: Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor. They got the rookie Tyler Warren. They have Michael Pittman, Alex Pierce, deep threat. Really good offensive line. So they're balanced. They can hit you at all levels. Alex Pierce is the guy who's shown he's one of the better deep ball uh, receivers in the league. Tyler Warren has shown I think he's leading all tight ends in receiving yards to this point in the season. But he can do a little bit of everything. He's a Swiss Army knife. And people are saying the Bears taking Colston Loveland over Tyler Warren was a mistake. Still too early to see, but Tyler Warren looks great. I think Colston will be fine. It's just the way the Bears have had to use their tight ends this year is a lot different than the way the Colts have used theirs. Um, but very balanced attack, and even defensively, they've had some injuries, but defensively they've been pretty good too. Going down to number two, I don't know if any of this will matter. As I said in the open, the Kansas City Chiefs are my number two team at this point, 4-3 record, and yeah, I can hear you. Why are the Chiefs up there? They got 3 losses because they're the Chiefs. They're the team we've seen here. Doesn't matter. I'm taking opinion out of it. I'm taking, they've been there. They've been there and they've done it. That's why they have them there. Their defense is improving, and Mahomes has stabilized this offense, right? Um, their ground game, once that really gets going, if they can get it going, they can make a trade for some guys. What if they make a trade for Brees Hall, right? What if they make a trade for Brees Hall for the Jets? And then you put Brees Hall in that backfield with Mahomes, with Rashee Rice back now, with Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce, Juju Smith-Schuster, Hollywood Brown. These guys don't have to take on as big of roles as they did when Xavier Worthy was out, with injury early in the season from the friendly fire when Rashee Rice was suspended, right? So all of these guys are taking lesser roles because they're getting guys back. Other guys are getting healthier. So watch out for the Chiefs at number two. Um, that will be a very interesting match because I think the Colts, especially if they don't have to go to Arrowhead, they're 2 games up on the Chiefs. If they don't have to go to Arrowhead and they play in Indianapolis, I think the Colts are very live for beating the Chiefs because they can run the football. But you got a guy like Jonathan Taylor in January. You run the football, whether you go to Arrowhead or not. You run the football. Um, Number three is the Philadelphia Eagles. They get back on track on the road in Minnesota. Tough Vikings defense, but Jalen Hurts was able to get the pass game going over 300 yards passing, getting both A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith to some monster fantasy games this week. So if you had either one of those guys, you had Jalen Hurts, you had a really good game, or you had some really good output in terms of fantasy production for your teams. this past week. So offense surging a bit. They need to get the ball going too on the ground with Saquon Barkley. Far from the year he had last year. I didn't really expect that, but they need to get more out of Saquon if they want to make another run to the Super Bowl, in my opinion. Number 4, the Detroit Lions. Uh, Lost to two teams here, one being the Chiefs on top of them and the Green Bay Packers to start the year. I kind of put chalk that Green Bay loss up, looking way back on it as Green Bay just had a lot of momentum coming into the season. I don't think they've played as good a game since week 1, right? And to me, those things should be reversed. We'll get to them in a minute. I'm not going to highlight them in this segment because this is for the Lions, or on this part, excuse me. But the Lions at 5-2 are a physical football team. They're a consistent football team, and they're very dangerous, man. You got a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs. Looking at him last night, I think over 200 yards from scrimmage. I mean, just big playability on any given point. And even on games he can struggle or he's just not at his best, you got another back in David Montgomery who can get you tough physical yards. He can also catch the ball out of the backfield. Not as explosive an athlete as Jahmyr Gibbs, but a very good number 2 running back. Most teams don't have that good of a number 2 running back on their team. Um, Obviously, Jared Goff has been able to distribute the ball and be very accurate with the football to his weapons, mainly Amon-Ra St. Brown, but also Laporta, Jamo Williams. So lot of weapons there that the Lions have, which makes them extremely dangerous. All right, the team that they beat last night, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm pretty sure that record should say 5-2. So that could be an error there um, in editing, but I'm pretty sure they're 5-2, not 4-2. Mayfield has been very steady. They were able to pressure him last night. A lot of the injuries at the receiver position, Mike Evans coming in and then going back out in the same game, now having a broken collarbone is really bad. He's obviously going to not get that streak of consecutive 1,000-yard receiving. So I'm glad he got it last year. Broke the record because he's been a really good receiver in this league for a long time. But that'll be coming to an end this year, as I don't even know if he'll be able to make it back. Maybe for a playoff run. I haven't seen any news on injury news on the update, but Tampa Bay has been a steady team. I think they'll be fine once they get Godwin back, get some other receivers. But a lot of these receivers they have kind of stepped up, right? But going back to the parity in the league, no team is just dominating anybody else. The closest thing to it is what the Colts are doing. But even they've been in some games where they were down to the last minute against the Arizona Cardinals with the backup quarterback. You know, you can be in these games and have a chance to win even facing like the Chiefs, the Colts, some of these teams, the Eagles, some of these teams at the top, the Lions. So Buccaneers at number 5, I think they'll be fine. Again, facing a top team, top 5 team on the road is no easy feat in this league. Facing a bottom team on the road in this league is no easy feat. So moving on to 6 through 10 here. Number 6, I have the 49ers, who gritty, extremely deep, because if you pay attention to the whole league as I do, a ton of injuries just lost on defense already, right? Even offense. George Kittle just came back, but Brandon Ayuk hasn't played since last year. So a ton of injuries for the 49ers, but they continue to get the job done. Quarterback, Sam Jones, Mac Jones. I'm saying Sam Jones. Mac Jones starting for Brock Purdy, and keeping the offense going. So very well coached team. Shout out to Mike Shanahan and his crew over there. Robert Saleh being back on the defensive side of the ball. 49ers looking really good, looking like a team that'll be competing for that division and competing to be in the playoffs for sure. So if you look at these next two teams, 6, 7, and 8, I have all NFC West teams. I mean, this is a loaded division. Um, it's going to be tough. They're going to make it tough on some of these other divisions to get a wild card team in with 3, 5, and 2 teams here. The Rams at number 7 took care of business over in London against Jacksonville. Stafford's looking great. All the injury stuff before the season doesn't look like it's affecting them at all. I don't know why that says Cup there. Um, yeah, that shouldn't say Cup there, but Devontae Adams is what it should say. Hitting on all cylinders there. So I did use some AI to help with some editing here to speed up the process. And I don't know why they would have Cup there. Obviously, they did not uh, update something there. But Devontae Adams is what it should say. Puka did not play this past week. Um, Devontae Adams 3 touchdowns. Puka, with them winning, I don't think they're going to try to rush him back. I believe they're on bye this week, so I would think he will be back after the bye. So the Rams looking good there. Very balanced team. Very good defensively. Very good offensively. Moving down to the Seahawks, who beat the Texans last night. Defense improving and just looking really good. They know how to win clutch games, right? They've been in some of these close games. They lost to Tampa at home, where both teams were just constantly putting up points, right? The defense didn't look great in that game, but uh, overall, the Seahawks are probably the most underrated team in the NFL this year, in my estimation. As Sam Darnold has figured some things out. Yes, it's early in the season, and we'll see how he plays later in the season. But to this point, Seahawks number 8 looking really good. Again, all three NFC West teams there is that division outside of Arizona, who's just falling by the wayside at this point. I guess I'll give them an honorable mention. They have leads in games late, and they just can't close them out. So that's why they're way down towards the bottom of the league now with some of these other teams. Moving on, Green Bay Packers. They're not going to fall out of the top 10 for me in terms of what they've done, even though their games aren't uh, they don't look great in their games, in my opinion. And what I mean by great is the hype that they had coming into the season after the Micah Parsons trade. Um, but I think to this point, I think they are where they probably want to be. Right? Obviously, that tie doesn't hurt them as much as some teams with 2 losses. For example, if they had 2 losses, they would be tied with the Bears at this point, right? They'd be tied with the Lions. Well, not the Lions because the Lions they haven't had their bye. Green Bay and the Bears have had their bye, but they're at the top of their division because they only have the 1 loss. So I hate the tie. I absolutely hate it. I think the league needs to take it out. Get winner or losers in these games. That's a whole nother thing, and I don't want to get into that right now. But Green Bay overall, Micah Parsons had his best game as a Packer. Um, Offensively, they're doing enough to win games. They're going to run a football with Jacobs. As long as Jordan Love doesn't give you that costly mistake, which I know is in him because I've seen it. And if you've watched any Green Bay games, you've seen it as well. As long as he doesn't, turn the ball over late in games, I think they'll be fine in terms of being one of the top teams in the NFC. Moving on to the Patriots, probably the most surprising team for a lot of people that are not New England Patriots fans to this point. Um, 5-2, atop of the AFC East. Already beaten Buffalo at Buffalo's home, excuse me. But very efficient play from Drake May. To this point of this particular season, he's the best quarterback out of that draft class from last year. Extremely accurate. Is leading his team to wins, and you're not hearing a lot about them. They're winning games and they're keeping it moving. You hear a lot about Caleb. You hear a lot about Jaden, which they're the top 2 picks. Drake was third or fourth. Uh, he was a third quarterback, but I can't remember if he was pick 3 or pick 4. I think it might have been pick 4. Nonetheless, he's completing around 70% of his passes, and that's one of the top metrics you identify with a quarterback that's playing very, very good football, right? And his passing yards at the same time are not like down. They're not just all check down plays. He's pushing the ball down the field some. So it'd be interesting to keep an eye on this team, but I do want to give them their props. I think they deserve to be in the top 10 with some of the wins they've had already. And let's see how they finish the season, right? Drake May, it's a little late now because of how they played, but he would have been a really good, interesting candidate to see where his MVP odds were, after like week 2 or 3, as compared to now. I think he's like second in the whole list of everybody playing. So moving on to 11 through 16. So these teams are in the hunt. But again, with the parity, really, a lot 1 through 16 is a lot closer than you were really thinking. I'll consistently say that because that's the NFL. That's what the NFL wants, and that's just what the NFL is. So going to the next team, the Denver Broncos, 5-2, very resilient team. They've had several comeback wins. I don't think they can sustain that in terms of being down 19 points going into the fourth quarter and winning games. This is the team I was referring to. The New York Giants were scoring on this defense, the number one defense in the NFL. They were moving the ball with a very young quarterback, rookie quarterback. But ultimately, when it came down to crunch time, even though Jackson Dart made some plays, the Broncos ultimately made more and won this game 33-32 at home. So Denver, you might say this is a little lower for where they are. They played two really bad teams compared to probably where some people may view them at, especially as a number one defense. And they've just escaped from victory, right? And some people say, oh, the Bears. I hear you now. The Bears did the same thing. The Bears are not ranked higher than the Broncos, and their wins. I'm not taking wins away from this team. All I'm saying is the Chiefs are ahead of them because the Chiefs are the standard in the NFL. They're the class of that division, and until they face head-to-head, I have to put the Chiefs higher than them. So if you have those type of questions, that's why I have the Broncos here. I could easily, have some other teams down more, but this is my opinion. And let me know down in the comments where you would have some of these teams. If my rankings are off, let me know where you would place certain teams. If you would have a team like Green Bay maybe should be higher in your opinion. Let me know why. I think I have them about right because they were, I think, what did I have them at? 9 doesn't mean that they're literally a hair down from like a 49ers at 6, a Tampa Bay at 5, the Lions at 4, who they already beat, right? A lot of these teams, depending on where the game is, they will be favored. I would have them as a favorite if, Detroit went to Green Bay again. I might have them as a slight favorite. Or if I did, they would be a slight dog, 1.5, 2 points. It wouldn't be anything major, right? So getting back to it, the Broncos at the number 11 team, the Bills at 12. They must be on bye this week because they did not play. 4-2, not a whole bunch. I won't go into a whole bunch with them, but they lost their last game last Monday night against the Falcons. So hopefully they'll try to find some rhythm coming out of the bye here. Going down to the Steelers. 4-2, losing to Cincinnati. Cincinnati last Thursday. Let's see here, right? I don't want to drop them too much because I think this is a very capable team, meaning they have a lot of veteran leadership. Yes, Aaron Rodgers is old. Their defense is what bothers me. I don't know if their defense is good enough to sustain them winning and being able to hold off a team like Baltimore, right? If Baltimore gets on a roll here, and gets healthier, I don't think they're a team that can hang with Baltimore, honestly, if they're healthy and they start to figure some things out over there. Number 4, the Chargers, or the fourth one on this page, the Chargers, 4-3. Herbert still looks good. I think they just kind of ran into the hottest team in the league, and with some of their injuries, they just weren't able to figure it out. They get a short week here and facing a team that also lost at home this past week in Minnesota. So short week here for the Chargers. But the way they have their team built, everybody has injuries at this point in the season. I think they're a team you still have to have in a conversation, and a team that's better than a lot of other teams that are not even making this list, right? Moving down to the Chicago Bears, won the last 4 games. Being fueled by the ground game the last 2 games, for sure. This is probably a surprise to a lot of people here. My expectations as a fan were that we would look better than we have in years past, and to this point, it looks better. Even though we had a 4-2 record at this point in the season last year, it looks different. It feels different in terms of how the guys are being coached, and how things are going to be moving forward from this game. We have an extremely tough game on the road at Baltimore this week. I think a 6.5, 7 point underdog, which hints that Lamar Jackson probably will be back along with some other top players. But the Bears have earned this spot. I have not put them up here as a fan because this is my team. They've earned this spot. They're one of the hottest teams in the NFL this year. Not winning ugly and not winning pretty in every game. Some of these games look extremely ugly, but look at some of these other teams that are doing the same thing. Green Bay, I can make the same argument for. Denver, I can make the same argument for. The Steelers, I can make the same argument for. So the NFL is not about the way you win, it's ultimately about getting the win. And I think this is a team that could compete to get in the playoffs if they can get to 10 wins somehow. The way that looks the rest of the year, we'll get into that at a later time, but Chicago Bears as a number 15 team in the power rankings um, to this point looks good. But again, a big matchup coming up this weekend at Baltimore. The Panthers, okay, so Bryce Young went down, but this team is surging. Atlanta Falcons fans, pump your brakes. They beat you all. You guys are 3-3. They're 4-3, and they beat you all. I think 31-0 at Carolina. But you gotta be more competitive in those type of games. So that's why Carolina is at 16. They've earned their spot. They're trending upward. They're playing a lot better football than they have in the last few years, and I'm going to reward teams for that, right? So looking forward to week 9 as we wrap this show up here. Some games to watch, right? I just highlighted one of them. The Bears go to Baltimore. Why is this a big game? One, depending on which angle you are. I'll go for my team first, the Chicago Bears. We're on a 4-game win streak, right? To get to a 5-game win streak against a team like Baltimore on the road, even though they're 1-5, is a big victory, right? It's a very big victory because this is a team that's fighting for their season this week. So they will have a playoff. The fans there will be a playoff atmosphere. They'll be juiced up. They'll be ready to go. They understand this is a team that's been hot, a team that they can maybe get some confidence going if they can get a win, and just get back on track coming out of the bye. Right? It's a sprint. I mean, excuse me, it's a marathon, not a sprint. We're not at the point in the season where teams just gotta hurry up and stack wins. Baltimore does because of how they started, but that's not every team, right? Moving down to Dallas versus Denver. So I threw this game in here because it's the number one offense, in my opinion, in the NFL. Yes, if you look at the stats, probably the Colts are the number one offense. If that's the case, Dallas is too. But to me, just the way it looks, Dallas is right there, probably equal to Indianapolis in terms of how they've played offense this year. Dak Prescott has been the best quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion, this year. They go to face Denver at home, at Mile High, and that's been the best defense this year in the NFL. So, intriguing matchup, strength against strength, and I think it'll be a good matchup. And to cap the night, I'm pretty sure this is a Sunday night football game. The Green Bay Packers take on the Steelers. I think this game is in Pittsburgh. Excuse me, but if it's in Green Bay, it will make it even better. But regardless, Aaron Rodgers is playing his former team. I'm sure he wants to stick it to him. They're coming off a loss. So this will be a very interesting game because if Green Bay falls to 2 losses, uh, that slides them down in the NFC where again, you got the NFC West teams, the Rams, the 49, all these teams are winning, right? So to keep pace with those teams, Green Bay, every team in the NFC has to keep winning. That has real playoff expectations. And with Detroit still winning, ultimately I think any team wants to win their division, but it's not a game I think they want to let slip up. So very big game. If Pittsburgh loses again and Baltimore beats the Bears, here we go. Is giving Baltimore the opportunity to kind of close that gap. So 3 games there that we're looking ahead at. Thank you all once again for joining me on this extravaganza, this journey, this YouTube thing. I really appreciate it. Hit the like button, subscribe, share. Anybody that likes sports, obviously we're talking NFL right now, so um, anybody that likes NFL sports, share it, please. I'm trying to grow it. Thank you all for your time, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.